Good afternoon, welcome to Deep Thoughts While Driving. Me, myself, and I here. I'm kind of in the middle of the way to work, so it might be a bit of a quickie. Anyhow, grandparents don't actually know everything. I say this because just a little while ago, went to the grandparents' place to pick up our son, because he spent the night with the great-grandparents. Our grandparents, his great-grandparents. Anyhow, the wife's got a remote starter in her car. Itchy nose. And been having some issues with the remote starter doesn't work. Anyhow, trying to explain to Grandpa that when she uses the button for the remote starter, it beeps and everything, but it won't start the car. But when you go in and turn the key, it will start the vehicle. So the battery's not quite getting 100% charged. It's a little, a little short of the charge. Well, that's not the problem. Well, yeah. See, the remote starter. The wife's been driving back and forth, a lot, and doing a lot of short trips, and not doing a long enough trip to really charge the battery up. Grandpa seems to argue with me because the battery should be just fine. Well, I'm like, okay, it's fine, but the remote starter does wear down the battery a little bit, so if you're not driving a decent enough to charge it back up, not just for the start, but the extra draw, the remote starter, it's, going to be a little low. He flat out disagrees with me. Having a remote starter doesn't add any extra draw to the battery. Okay, Grandpa, you have a receiver in the remote starter. It has to have power and uses up power, waiting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, in anticipation of receiving a signal from the remote to start the vehicle. That alone draws more power. Maybe not a lot, but more power. Just like some vehicles have auxiliary clocks, and they use up power. It's an extra draw on the battery. He's disagreeing with me. This is coming from a guy who can start his tractor easy peasy and is used to vehicles that don't have computer chips in them and all this extra technology stuff. He's a little out of date, and I love him, but he seems to think he knows absolutely everything. This is an aftermarket remote starter put into a vehicle. Right then and there, there's going to be more of a draw on the battery than the vehicle would without it. That's just a simple fact. Okay? It's a fact. But he disagrees. Because it's just a relay. And then you hit the button, the relay reacts to receiving the signal, and it starts the... No, there's technology involved that makes it work. And he's not understanding that this technology actually adds an extra draw on the battery. Grandpa used to be a millwright. So he literally kept the local mill that he worked at running. Well, one of the guys who did. I mean, he knew every piece of machinery. He knew them inside and out, backwards and forwards and everything. I'm like, the guy's... When it comes to that kind of stuff, the guy's a genius, basically. Because he did it for 40 some odd, I don't know how long. A long time. Which is fine. But this is new, modern technology that he has absolutely nothing to do with. The man can't use a cell phone. The man can't use a computer. The man has trouble using the remote for the satellite TV that they have. Okay, so he's a little out of date, which is fine. But it's just the fact that he likes to think that he knows everything, and someone my age, and I respect the man. I have got mad respect for the man. But the fact that I might actually know something that he doesn't, and he needs to argue. It's like, really? Seriously? Grandpa, I love you, but you're wrong. Okay? I'm not going to make a big deal about it. I'm going to let it go and let you think you won. But the actual fact is, you are incorrect. That's all. There's been other little examples of stuff, but we were talking about the battery and that. And, yeah. It's like, I love you, man, but Can you just not concede the fact that you don't know absolutely everything about absolutely everything? It's just a him and me conversation. My wife and Grandma are both in the kitchen, sitting at the kitchen table talking. So nobody else is listening to the conversation, but just the two of us. But he has to know all. Okay, Grandpa, you know everything. You are right. I am wrong. I love you. And I love you enough to admit that you know way more than I do, and I may be not wrong. All right, that's it. So take it easy. Catch you later. Have a good one.